Tonight, Kamala Harris is in Atlanta, headlining a packed rally. It's the vice president's first visit to Georgia since becoming the de facto Democratic nominee, bringing that key battleground state back into play. Harris's place at the top of the ticket has swung momentum and enthusiasm back to the Democrats, particularly amongst young voters, who the campaign had hoped to woo with a performance by hip-hop star Megan Thee Stallion, Savage. Vice President Harris told the fired-up crowd that this campaign is a fight for the future.
Ours is a fight for the future and for freedom. And I don't have to tell folks in Atlanta that generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom. And now, the baton is in our hands. Each and every one of us.
Tonight's rally is just the beginning of a rush of travel for the vice president. She plans to visit six battleground states over 4 days next week with her as of yet unannounced running mate. As the New York Times points out, that schedule suggests that we should learn who Harris chooses as her vice president by next Tuesday at the latest. And the Times reports that there are 5 serious contenders remaining in the Veep Stakes. Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Governors Josh Shapiro of Arizona, Tim Walz of Minnesota, and Andy Beshear of Kentucky, as well as Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Also today, the Harris campaign announced a big ad buy to the tune of $50 million ahead of the Democratic National Convention next month. The campaign just launched their first ad presenting the vice president as a, quote, fearless former prosecutor.
The one thing Kamala Harris has always been: fearless. As a prosecutor, she put murderers and abusers behind bars. As California's Attorney General, she went after the big banks and won $20 billion for homeowners. And as vice president, she took on the big drug companies to cap the cost of insulin for seniors. Because Kamala Harris has always known who she represents.
That comes amid a dueling new ad from Donald Trump attacking Harris on immigration and the border. Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance, are also following Harris to Atlanta on Saturday. In fact, to the exact same venue at Georgia State University where she spoke tonight, directly to her opponent.
Well, Donald, I do hope you'll reconsider to meet me on the debate stage. Because as the saying goes, if you've got something to say, say it to my face.
Senator Raphael Warnock, Democrat of Georgia, met Vice President Harris at the Atlanta airport and joined her at the rally tonight. He joins us right now. Senator Raphael Warnock, thank you so much for joining us tonight on All In.
Thank you. So great to be here with you, Jason.
First off, I just want to say how impressed I am with the organization on the ground that you were able to get from the airport to the rally place with Atlanta traffic on 75 this time of day. I'm very impressed. I got to start off with that. I have been to many a rally in Atlanta. I was there the night that you defeated Herschel Walker in a runoff. I've seen the excitement of Abrams campaigns. I've seen the excitement of Ossoff campaigns. How does tonight's rally compare to other rallies you've been to politically in Georgia over the last 3 or 4 years?
Oh, tonight's rally is the top of the heap. The energy here, as you can see, is electric. The rally's actually over, and still there's a great deal of excitement. You can feel it on the ground. I was actually with the vice president. I came down from Washington, D.C. with her, and as we were riding through Atlanta, you could see people lined up on the streets. You could see them all standing on bridges waiting to greet her to battleground Georgia. We know from experience in Georgia that when we show up, we win, that the path that leads to the White House goes through Georgia, and I think the vice president felt that here tonight.
Now, we know that in 2020, Georgia was won legitimately by the Biden-Harris ticket with only about 11,000 voters, right? What's interesting is Metro Atlanta alone grows by 11,000 voters every 2 months. So what do you think is going to be different about campaigning this time in 2024 with only 98 days left than maybe just 4 years ago? Because it seems to me like the ground is going to be different and there are newer people for Harris to communicate with.
Well, you know, that is the work of the campaign. And the good news is that the Kamala Harris campaign is already on the ground. Of course, that began with the Biden campaign. That infrastructure is very much in place. I've been back to the state time and time again with the vice president. We were just here together about a month ago before she was the nominee. And that's because she is taking Georgia seriously. Look, as you point out, we won in 2020. The Biden-Harris campaign won. You had Donald Trump calling into our state asking for 11,000 or so votes. The good news is that Kamala Harris is on the ground time and time again trying to earn the vote of Georgians. And she's doing that not simply by showing up for campaigns, but showing up in the ways in which this administration has delivered for the people of Georgia time and time again. We passed the single largest tax cut for middle and working class families in American history. It's called the Expanded Child Tax Credit. We're going to try to present that again this week in the United States Senate. And the Republicans, for some reason, don't seem to want to play ball. They're more interested in providing tax cuts to their wealthy friends than they are to ordinary working class people. And so this is the contrast. Elections are about a choice. And the question is, do you want someone who's standing on the side of the wealthiest of the wealthy or on the side of ordinary people? Do you believe in a woman's right to choose? Or do you think politicians ought to make that choice? Do you want a criminal in the White House, or do you want someone who has spent her career prosecuting criminals and standing up for working families?
You know, you mentioned the opposition. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution writes that, you know, Trump and J.D. Vance are going to be campaigning together on Saturday in Metro Atlanta. And I'm guessing they're probably not going to have a similar crowd. What is going to be necessary for Harris to sort of explain, be it policy-wise or messaging-wise, to keep Georgia purple and or blue? Because we know that Trump is going to be supported by a very popular governor. Brian Kemp is going to support him there. Brian Kemp is going to have all of his voter suppression tactics at his fingertips to try to keep Donald Trump in control of that state. What's the Harris campaign got to do to combat that?
Listen, if I and my colleague Jon Ossoff, an African-American man and a Jewish man, can win in Georgia, Kamala Harris can win in Georgia. The contrast between these two campaigns could not be more stark. I mean, you literally have a criminal running against a prosecutor. But more importantly, I think when you look at the contrast between Project 2025, which wants to cut the civil service, that wants to get rid of programs like Head Start. I have to tell you, I'm an alum of Head Start. This is a program that invests in the early childhood and development of poor children, that makes sure that they are nurtured with reading and literacy. Without Head Start, I wouldn't be a United States Senator. It literally set the foundation for my life. And Project 2025 and J.D. Vance's of the world somehow think that child care and investing in early child care is somehow a problem for American families. I don't know who they're talking to. The contrast couldn't be more stark. If you really want people to go to work, then you ought to invest in the child care infrastructure. And this is just one of the things that you're going to see time and time again raised in this campaign. And I think as they hear from Kamala Harris, the better for us. And the more they hear from Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, the better for us.
Senator Raphael Warnock, thank you so much for starting us off today. I know there's going to be a huge crowd there. It seems like people are still partying in the background. So good luck getting out of the rally tonight, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much.